Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Live's Falcons Training Camp Day 3 recap live from SweetWater Brewing. I've got a full house here, and we also have some wonderful fans in attendance. Let's hear it!
Go Bird!
All right, guys. Well, first of all, joining us on my right, left, I don't know. I don't know. It's difficult because the camera's flipped, but we do have Gina Kelly with us. Gina, how are you doing tonight?
I am hot, but other than that, I'm good. So happy to see all these Falcons fans out here today.
Absolutely, and I did just see lightning in the distance, so if I have to pick up the laptop and throw it, under the building, then we may do that. So you've been forewarned about that one. But we're going to get as many takes off as we can in the meantime. So before we get to that, of course, want to welcome in Adnan Ikic as well. Adnan, how you doing?
Doing very well. For the first time this week, I'm seeing some clouds. They couldn't be there while we're at training camp, but they are here to potentially ruin our live show. So,
yes.
That's how it goes.
Yes, it's ominous just like the upcoming Falcons season, as always. So also with us, as you can see, Will McFadden at Will McFadden. Will, how you doing?
Falcons fans are way nicer in person than they are on Twitter. So far, I'm having a great time, man.
So far, so good, guys. So welcome in, everyone. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to attempt to get one ad read off here because I am a company man. So give me one sec. Yeah, no, we're not going to do the Blue Chew live. I was considering it. I'm going to have to I'm going to edit in the Blue Chew later. But guys, yeah, well, I'm going to pull that up. But until we get to that, let's start with a little bit of training camp talk. Oh, you're good. Yeah. Step out for a second. Yeah, well, we did have a great Bijan Robinson play first, so I'll let you guys take the floor on that while I find my ad read, and hopefully I'll get to it within the first 5 minutes as I'm contractually obligated. So please take it away.
The Bijan Robinson, I'm sure you guys saw it. It's making the rounds all over social media at this point.
Well, I feel like it's totally unfair for Kevin to sit this one out, being that he is the person who captured this amazing moment on video. But
hey, at least they credited him for it. They were not crediting him for the Matt Collins video yesterday. So yeah, that's a nice change. But yeah, it was. If you guys haven't seen it by now, he went up against Troy Andersen one-on-one, and yesterday Troy Andersen won that battle. In the one-on-one rep, he deflected the ball, batted it away. This time it looked like Bijan Robinson sort of learned from that mistake yesterday. He cut in, he sold the slant pattern and just turned it into this double move where he absolutely burned Troy Andersen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slant and go, right? Yeah. But and maybe that's an adjustment on the coaching staff. Maybe it's him and the quarterback saying, all right, they got you on this last time. Here's where we adjust. And now it's a learning moment for obviously the defense and Troy Andersen, who needs to make these mistakes now in training camp and not in week one when you're playing the Carolina Panthers, right? But if anything, I think you come away seeing what Bijan Robinson is going to be to this offense. And guys, I'm more confident now than ever that slot receiver 101 right here. For Bijan.
Yes. All right. Just inside the 5-minute mark, we would like to bring you today's show from betonline.ag, your number one source for all your sports betting needs. You can get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. Maybe you're feeling overly confident in the Falcons. Hit that Bijan Robinson over, perhaps. You can bet on those today if you so choose. But no matter what you decide to do, guys, BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as they've got you covered for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you can play right from your home. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And I will mention that this podcast is also sponsored by Blue Chew. I'm going to have to edit that in later. But, there's a lot of Blue Chew fans here, Blue Chew. So I did mention you. But yes, there are, children in attendance. So we'll save the good stuff, the chew it and do it, for later for the podcast. Rise up. Yeah. Aaron Freeman's still undefeated with that ad read, but all right, guys. Yes. So, on the topic of Bijan Robinson, it was a spectacular grab, a lot of fun. And Troy Andersen deserves props too, because he played it extremely well, the first day. And Bijan, of course, came back with the double move today. It was sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I've been impressed with Troy too. He's been running with the first team. He's been, I think, playing pretty well. I mean, honestly, the run defense as a whole has been really good, and that was one of my sort of overall takeaways from today as well.
So good.
Other than Bijan maybe getting a handful of rushing touchdowns. Again, there's no tackling, so it's kind of hard to say, right?
Yeah.
But the run defense has been really good. Troy Andersen's a big part of that, but there's a lot of other guys contributing as well.
But let's stick with Troy for 1 second, because Gina, like I don't know about you, but kind of a lot of the additions that have been made on defense make sense to me. They filled clear areas, they bolstered depth, but like as I look at this defense, answers have been granted for questions that I had, and yet I still have a big question right there in the middle of the defense.
Yeah.
What are your expectations and anticipations for Troy Andersen this year?
I mean, I think that his ceiling is high, and I think that we all hope that he can live up to that potential. I think that in this camp, we're seeing flashes that tell us that that's, definitely a possibility. Again, it's so hard to evaluate in training camp. I haven't been up there, so I've just relied on you guys to keep me informed, and you've done a wonderful job of that. It's hard to know until they get pads on, and it's even harder to know until they actually get into some preseason action. And even then, they're not really at full speed. And so, but I do think the flashes that we've seen really give me a lot of optimism for him this season.
I mean, yeah, Troy Andersen, we knew what he was coming out of Montana. So he was a second rounder. We knew he was very raw.
Yep.
And you saw some of that skill set last year. I think it was the play where he rained down the punt returner. I think it was the San Francisco
One
game.
of my favorite plays of the year.
And I mean, like, you knew that from year one, he was a bit raw, and he was going to take, maybe a season, maybe a couple of years. But I mean, I've been impressed by him so far. Sure, he lost the rep to Bijan Robinson today. It's hard to cover Bijan Robinson one-on-one. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
how many linebackers in the entire NFL can line up against Bijan one-on-one? And just
Hopefully zero.
Yeah, I
hopefully zero.
think that's why the team took him where they took him.
Exactly, right? Because he's going to be just a mismatch.
Yes.
That is what he's here to be. And the Troy Andersen play, though, against San Francisco reminded me of two plays, actually. One came against San Francisco, and it was the Roddy White chase down punch out.
That's
Yes.
one of my all-time
that,
favorites.
that is my favorite play.
And then the Julio just absolutely
It is
going lion. Was it against Detroit? Was it against actually the Lions? Just like chasing down like a freaking
That it
lion
was.
against a gazelle
Yeah.
and hustling down. So like
it may have been the Bucks, and I think
Maybe,
that
yep.
I think you're right.
that play may have been called back. So I think it was like a flag on the play on the defense.
but it's the athleticism
But, yeah.
on display, right? And so you're
Yes.
saying now you've got somebody like that in the heart of your defense. Like if he can become the football player,
Yeah.
that's what I think the next step is.
And that's the thing. Like, we do know that he does have that raw athleticism, but I think that what we're seeing so far in camp is it makes me feel like he's developing the way that the team needs him to develop.
Yeah, I apologize. I was not following that conversation, trying to do some technical support. But
We got the back.
yeah, this is why you have guests, guys. It's amazing stuff here. But,
Kevin's wearing mini hats out here.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff that the clouds are looking extremely ominous. So, I was trying to move a couple things out of harm's way. but
Today's podcast is brought to you by Friends.
yes,
We should all have them.
friends are excellent. Shout out to everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys. Shout out, of course, to everyone for showing up today. And this is a great time for me to plug the training camp fundraiser. If you're interested in supporting, we're well on our way. Thanks to George Costanza's $250 donation yesterday, among many others. We've also got one from Nico with the $10. Appreciate you, Nico, man. Appreciate you so much. It says $5 for training camp, $5 for the chips and salsa on the SweetWater Munchies menu. So I'm gonna have to try that. Where would you set the over/under on Ridder's rushing touchdowns this year? Teams are going to underestimate the threat he poses, in my opinion. Have a great time, everyone. Yeah. Well, I think you guys have some
Wow.
takes. So what do you guys think?
Well, I actually hope the number is low because I think that the Falcons have enough talent at the skill positions to get in the end zone in other ways, and I do not want him to get hurt because I do not want to see Taylor Heineke starting games for the Atlanta Falcons. No offense to Taylor Heineke,
Yes.
but
Very nice man. Yeah.
I would prefer that
Chico
Desmond
legend.
Ridder stay. Yes, that he stay healthy. But I don't know where I'd put it. Maybe 5 is a number that I would feel.
That's a lot.
It
is a
for a
lot.
quarterback. That's a lot.
That's true.
3.5.
Okay.
3.5 rushing touchdowns.
And I'll take the over on Will's 3.5.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I'll also take the over.
How
Because
about that?
he got one today, right? So we're mostly. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
think
Does that
I'm
count?
leaning.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning the under though. Like Gina, I could see a 12-yard scramble.
Uh-huh.
Like up the middle, people are just losing. But like, when you've got Tyler Algier, when you've got Cordero Patterson, when you've got frankly a
That's a
Matt
good
Collins and a
point.
Drake London and Kyle, like if they get to the 2-yard line, I don't know if they're just going to say QB scramble
Mhm.
or like QB dive or whatever.
But what I would
QB
like
sneak.
to see is more snake plays. I think that's where they really could succeed with that.
As long as they don't fumble the snap.
That's well,
I
let's not even speak that into
No, we speak truth to power. That's what we do on this show.
What was Justin Stone?
Who makes that
back?
decision?
Just Stone back?
Mike Person.
Mike Person returns.
I'll go with the over on that one. And I'm actually really glad that we're finally talking about something that's not the deep ball with Desmond Ridder.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to
we'll
get
get
to
there.
it. Yeah,
We'll get
we'll
there.
definitely
Don't
get there.
worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys.
The
Yeah.
fans are foaming at the mouth right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even on that Bijan Robinson spectacular catch, you saw so many people, as Falcons Twitter does. Who threw that pass?
Yeah.
Who threw it?
Who was it?
Reveal yourself. I'm gonna go with the over just because Desmond Ridder he's not a slow guy, and I think Arthur Smith will utilize that threat of a Bijan Robinson, a Tyler Algier, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. Teams will not be accounting for the quarterback as much, and I think Arthur Smith is gonna. I think he'll design a handful of runs in that red area for Desmond Ridder inside the 10, and it's going to catch some teams off guard.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, I think that's exactly really, really well said. Because what this offense is doing is you make the defenses kind of defend every blade of grass, right? That's what offenses like to do. But this is like you're making defenses defend every single person on the offense. Like, there's nobody that they can't look at, and there's no way that these players won't be used. So you have to be ready for, like, every single conceivable thing that they could throw at you. And therefore, like, I just don't think there's room left on your plate to be like, and what about the quarterback, right? Because you've got,
That's very fair.
at one point, you could have Cordero Patterson, Bijan Robinson, and Tyler Algier on the field at the same time with Drake London and with Kyle Pitts, and it's like, are you guys in heavy and running a goal line formation, or are you in 5 wide and you've got like 4 really dynamic athletes? So if they're going to be spread out thin, and then you've got Desmond Ridder running a draw up the middle from 7 yards out, like I just don't see a way that you can envision all of that coming all at once.
Right.
So I just looked it up right now.
The weather? Are we doomed?
Yes.
We're in trouble.
So I looked up right now. You guys want to guess how many rushing touchdowns Ryan Tannehill had in 2019 and 2020, which is when Arthur Smith was the OC?
Did he have 8?
He,
I thought that he had 8.
he had 4 in 2019 and 7 in 2020.
I was going to say
So,
something.
so
Close.
11 rushing touchdowns for Ryan Tannehill. You remember Arthur Smith loved to use that threat of Derrick Henry around the red area, and Ryan Tannehill walks in untouched, and he does that little finger roll celebration, which, I mean,
Nice.
it's a badass celebration.
Top 5 celebrations all time. Go.
Oh, hey, you're really putting me on the spot on this one. Top 5 of all
It's not
time.
prepared.
Yeah, the Ikic shuffle has to be up there.
Top 1 is the Dirty Bird.
There you go.
Yeah, the Dirty Bird.
You got it.
Oh,
you got
no.
a 0. That was a trick
Number
question.
2, Tony Gonzalez dunking on the goalpost.
Another one.
Okay.
Daryl Hodge had a dunk on the goalpost today too, by the way.
Number 3, Falcons fans probably won't love this one, but it's the curling celebration for
Oh,
the
yeah.
Packers. Like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just really fun to me. It,
Yeah.
it
It's
fits.
classic.
It
It's
fits.
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3's all I got. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
that,
not even-
You don't like
I
the-
generally need a little prep for top 5s. Top 5 guys to make the roster. Maybe I could probably do that off the cuff.
Mhm.
I always like a good bowling one, when
Yeah,
they get
yeah.
to like 9.
That is very
And then the
fun.
gritty, I feel like it's just.
Justin Jefferson is so clean
I'm
with that
hoping
gritty.
that Matt
Oh my
Collins
god.
busts out the backpack kid dance again this year. Yeah.
Yep, that was a
Yeah.
good one.
But yeah, I mean Ryan Tannehill, who is much less mobile than Desmond Ridder, had 11 rushing
Are we sure
touchdowns
about that?
in a couple years.
Are we sure about that?
I'm taking Desmond
I think
Ridder.
it's pretty comparable.
Well, comparable in Tannehill when Tannehill was his age.
Yeah,
I think the age is really the only
That's true,
differential.
but we're talking about a
there.
former wide receiver, essentially.
that's
so
what
it's
it's
like
not.
even like a 29-year-old
That's
wide
fair.
receiver and like a 23-year-old quarterback.
Yeah,
I'll
that's,
take
Tannehill-
that's fair.
Tannehill's
yeah.
a much more natural runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of actual athleticism, Desmond Ridder is like an elite athlete. I mean, he runs like a 4.5 flat. I mean, he's one
That's
of the fastest.
no slight
Yeah.
today. If
No.
anything,
Yeah.
I'm like trying to boost him up
Yeah,
into
right.
Ryan Tannehill.
But it's not just about the speed, and this is what we saw last year. If you guys watched Desmond Ridder run, it was the instincts for like when to take off and what to do. They just weren't there.
Oh no, we're feeling drops. We're feeling raindrops. I was mentioning it before the show. The entire week, there has not been a single drop of rain. Begging for some cloud cover in training camp.
Yeah.
And now the 1 hour when we really need some clear skies, of course it starts raining.
Absolutely.
Let's be clear. There were not any drops of rain, though. Unfortunately, there were some other kinds of drops, though, in practice today. And I think
Are you
that's.
talking about sweat?
I'm definitely
drops
talking
of
about,
sweat as
I'm
well.
Definitely talking about drops of sweat.
Yes.
But no, I mean, like I think because we should talk about the secondary as well, because that's been a huge part of it. But I think today some of the interceptions that were had were also partially on the offense. I mean, as like let's I guess wrap up like a passing game conversation and transition to the defense. But like, does it concern you guys at all that the passing game seems to be like lagging behind a little bit to start camp, or is that just the normal trend and cadence that we see this
I'm
year?
Adnan to answer first because he's actually been there.
There you go.
I've got kind of a stock answer
So-
to this one.
So the short to intermediate game has been very good. I've, that right now to me is like, I know you can do that. The only thing that I'm worried about, and we've been talking about it for a few days, the deep passing concepts.
Not been there.
The deep passes have not been there.
Mhm.
I mean, Ridder had a nice pass from the 20 for a Kadarius Hodge touchdown on an end zone like shot, but those shots on 7-on-7, 11-on-11, where it's not a red zone type thing. It's like the full field.
It's the high red or it's like the 40. Like that is where dudes want it. Kyle Shanahan, you reach the 40, he's taking a shot.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's the thing. Like Desmond Ridder, I think by my count is 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 on those. Each one has been overthrown. He overshot Drake London on one of them. He got picked up by Jalen.
Like 3 yards.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And Drake London is a very big dude. He's not a very easy guy to like overthrow. Jalen Hawkins had a pick in day one. That was a lot of people made a lot out of that. Tyler Heineke still hasn't hit one of those shots either. Yeah. The only quarterback that has been successful in hitting one of those like deep shots has been Logan Woodside.
He's been the dark horse this whole time. I've been saying it.
Logan, the Toledo legend. Logan Woodside went 5 for 6 today. I'm just showing Logan Woodside a little bit of love. We'll see plenty of him in the preseason, especially in that third preseason game against the Steelers. Gear up for that. He went 5 for 6 today, and he hit the star of today's practice, Xavier Malone, the undrafted free agent. Yeah, Xavier Malone stole the show today. He burned, or not burned, but it was good coverage from Cornell Armstrong on that deep shot in 11-on-11s, and he came away with a touchdown earlier in a 1-on-1. He had a touchdown against great coverage again. He didn't put a foot wrong, and I think Xavier Malone right now is probably the favorite in that undrafted wide receiver competition that we always look at. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we haven't had pads yet, but right now Xavier Malone is impressing me, and Logan Woodside had a good day. But yeah, you really want to see one of these deep shots completed very soon.
It's gotten to the point where I think I asked you guys today. It was like, is the landmark off? Like, are they going to the wrong landmarks? Because that's what it's legitimately seemed like at times, where it's like the quarterback is throwing it to one spot and the receiver's going to kind of another spot.
So it may be just kind of a learning curve.
Yeah,
this early in camp especially. My stock answer to this is we won't really know where the rubber meets the road with this team until about week 3 of the regular season. I think that, even like I said, the preseason, even those games are not at full speed. You're seeing a lot of rotation because the coaches need to evaluate the players so they can build the roster. I do not worry about anything until about week 3 of the regular season.
No,
the month of September is fool's gold.
Yeah.
Gina, Falcons Twitter is not with you on that at all. People are panicking.
They are never with me on this. Never, ever.
People have already pressed the panic button on Desmond Ridder.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, like...
They pressed it before game. They pressed it before OTAs. They pressed it when he was drafted. So it's... not that big of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, like, people press the panic button. Like today, Arthur Smith had a quote about the quarterback room, and I mean, it sounded on the surface, it sounded like a nice coach speak type quote of, our quarterback room is like very gritty, like people like a great work ethic with all of those guys. Like none of those guys were like super highly recruited, so they know what it means to work. So of course, Falcons Twitter took that, and they were immediately like, Oh my God, he said they're gritty. That means that they're not good. That means that they're not talented.
Were they having Dan Quinn flashbacks, or like what was the deal?
We're gonna be
there?
fast and physical, baby.
Fast and physical. The gritty thing goes back even to Mike Smith, though, and so
It really touched on a lot of very unique Falcons fan nerves.
It's a buzz. It's a buzzword.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, you can't be calling anything
But-
gritty.
But
Are you guys worried that if Desmond Ridder can't thread the needle at 40 yards, that Arthur Smith is going to send in a play where he has to thread the needle at 40 yards?
I mean, well, the deep shots are like a core part.
It is.
of
Yeah,
his
it's
offense,
essential.
so, like,
yeah,
he's going to have to be able to do it at some point.
It's-
They're going to find somebody else
We saw
eventually.
him do it last year
Yeah.
in only 4 games.
Ar-
In only 4 games. So
Yeah.
that's the
That is
it's a double-edged sword. It's like, all right, he did good in a small sample size, but it's also a small sample size.
Now that said, and I'm not a draft analyst. Everybody who follows my work knows I'm not a draft analyst, but I did think that Ridder had the highest ceiling of the quarterbacks that came out that year, and I felt like he was the one who had the best potential at pro level.
don't tell Steelers fans that. They will come after you.
Or Titans fans.
Yeah, well-
Frankly, I kind of felt like Ridder had a high floor,
Oh, okay.
personally. I felt like he was
Yeah,
very
no, I
polished.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
Yeah.
sure.
But have you ever seen Tom Brady the first week of practice?
Well, yes.
I can. I've seen him the final week of the NFL
Did-
season
did-
many
I
times,
don't
though.
remember
Did he
that.
mess with
I don't
the
remember that
long
game.
one?
Yes, I mean,
It happened.
well,
It's not that crazy.
Yeah.
It's really
it's
not.
not.
It's really
And-
not. So
every rookie quarterback needs development. The speed of the game is so different at the
For
pro
sure.
level, and yeah, we've had a very small sample size of Ridder. I do think that with a full off season to prepare, and I think that you just can't put too much stock into what happens in camp,
Yeah.
especially without pads.
No, you definitely can't. And I mean, we are absolutely exercising caution to everyone to, not panic. Like, don't panic on anything. It's been 3 days. I know people are, the sky is falling already, but I mean, like, don't panic. But again, it would be nice. Yeah, it would calm the nerves a little bit if tomorrow they came out and they, he connected with Drake London on one of those deep shots.
Yes.
And to Desmond Ridder's credit, to all these quarterbacks' credit, Arthur Smith would rather have them keep being aggressive and get all of this out of, like, work into a ladder here
Mhm.
than anywhere else. And honestly,
Yes.
it's more of a testament to their gunslinger mentality that they are like, you don't want your quarterback's confidence at any point to get really shaken, right? But
Right.
Arthur Smith's not about to just start kind of being like, here's a spot route concept where you've got like a 5-yard hitch is your main read, because they want to jab, jab, jab with the run game, jab, jab, jab with the screen game, and then they want to go deep with a dagger concept and hit a 25-yard shot play. Like,
And
Because that versatility is how you win
yeah,
games.
get one-on-one
Yeah.
matchups and then box out downfield and make the big contested
Yeah.
catch and then go right back to it.
I mean, you saw how many times he dialed it up with Mariota last year.
Mhm.
And even when it wasn't working, like there's a 2.5-minute highlight reel on Twitter of Mariota just missing Kyle Pitts deep, like just over and over again. And I mean, Arthur Smith is not going to change his playbook.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, Desmond Ridder is going to have to prove that he can do this. He can do this consistently
Yeah.
if he wants to be the quarterback of this offense.
And I think that's why Taylor Heineke is here as the backup, because
Yeah.
we've seen him not just hit these shots, but like hit these shots in like insanely big situations
Against the Falcons, he did.
in like pressure situations and in ways that galvanizes the team and like
Yeah.
sends them on like a run. So if I was gonna have to have like an ace up my sleeve, so to speak, and I'm not necessarily comparing Taylor Heineke to like an ace up the sleeve, because I think history has shown that he's maybe not that,
maybe a
but
jack.
yeah, maybe he's like a
Did you guys ever watch him at
He's
Collins
wild.
Hill though?
Can't say that I have.
Hey, that's a Gwinnett County legend. I'm sorry. I need to stop saying Gwinnett County legend every time I mention Taylor Heineke, because
I say UCF legend every time. It's
yeah,
okay.
I think people legitimately now think that I have this Taylor Heineke narrative going, that I'm just trying to bury Desmond Ridder just so that I can get the savior Taylor Heineke out there.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I have no agendas to push other than the Penny Hart agenda.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Go Panthers.
Go Panthers.
I
Yes,
did have
you.
to check with Adnan that it was the Panthers, which I shouldn't, because my wife Caroline graduated from GSU, so I should know that they're the Panthers. So that's my fault. That's not all that. But yeah, all right. Did you guys talk about Clark Phillips? Because I was not.
We have not talked about
No,
Clark
no,
Phillips yet.
We can talk about Clark Phillips now. Yes, I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention now. Yeah. So another pass breakup. I think it can still hear me.
Just didn't know if
I'm
your
monitoring the
laptop was
levels.
blocking it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if you guys listening ever having trouble hearing, just let me know, and I'll try to move stuff around. this is, you guys can see this is all going super well. Definitely according to plan. That's part of the fun, right?
Hey, well, we're adapting on the fly because
Yes.
that's what the job calls for.
Exactly. So you got to think on your feet. That's what a good quarterback does, right? You got to.
Oh boy.
Can you guys hear the
Spoke
thunder?
too soon.
It's,
Yes.
it's very ominous here. I hope this isn't an omen for the Falcons season, but
It actually might be the opposite.
Right.
Let's just claim that it's the opposite.
yeah. Well, but while danger lingers, we're making it work. So maybe that's what happened.
Hey,
maybe that's
see, see, we're setting the tone.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
here.
So, all right, guys. Clark Phillips, another pass breakup in 1-on-1s, also in 7-on-7s late. I mean, I'm on record as saying I think Clark Phillips should be like playing outside, getting a shot, like because he's a great outside corner in college. We saw him, the other day. Drake London 1-on-1 outside, huge receiver, played him great, know. And so I'm like questioning why bother with the slot move. Whoa, that was a big lightning bolt.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, there's more thunder.
I'm sure you guys heard that.
Welcome to summer in the South.
It was
so much fun.
It was so hot these few days. Like, where was
Yes.
this during camp?
Yeah.
It's
Also,
been insane.
it is still too hot. Like if it's going to storm, it should at least cool down.
I'm sunburned in the back of my legs right now. I mean, like, come on,
The
like,
first shade this had in 3 days.
and we didn't ask
And
for
it's
it.
because of the thunderstorm.
Yeah. So, we will endeavor to not get struck by lightning. That is
Yes.
my goal on tonight's show. Also to deliver good programming, but that, unfortunately, guys, that is secondary to the lightning. So, if we do feel like we have to move for safety, which if we were being honest with ourselves, we probably would have already done. We're gonna do the best we can here. Thank you guys for hanging out. But yeah, Clark Phillips. I mean, I'm curious what you guys think so far. I mean, I think he's been, arguably the most impressive rookie. I mean, if you don't count Bijan, because that's not really fair.
I would count. Yeah, I would count.
Yeah,
Bijan is a rookie, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Technically, yeah.
but Clark, I mean, he doesn't play like one, but yeah, Clark Phillips. I think it's malpractice that teams let him fall to the 4th round of the draft. And I mean, we celebrated it on our draft party. The second that we took him, we were like, oh my God, like this guy was, he was an All-American, like second team this year. He was one of the best cornerbacks in the entire college football hemisphere. I think he made the All Pac-12 team, first team. Like he has done nothing but produce in his entire football life. And I think if he was 2 inches taller, he's a first rounder. Yeah. Just like Grady Jarrett, in 2015. Teams get put off by the height. And I mean, Clark Phillips comes in and all he's done has been produce. Yeah. And I mean, again, he was mentioned specifically by Arthur Smith as one of the rookies that has impressed him yesterday. He was very impressive yesterday, beat Drake London on that 1-on-1 again. Who threw that ball? The hashtag conspiracy of Falcons training camp. Nobody's showing who's throwing these footballs. You
guys want me to film Desmond Ridder or whoever just throwing? And
it's you throwing these footballs.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what nobody's saying.
It's
Kevin.
Kevin. Just blame him.
It's
If
my
there's
fault.
a bad throw, it's Kevin.
Yeah.
If there's
I
a
can
good
throw
throw,
20-yard
it's Ritter.
stops.
Everybody settle down.
Guys, it's a conspiracy. The Desmond Ridder PR is insane right now. He has an incredible PR team right now.
He's literally crushing it.
But yeah, I mean, Clark Phillips, again, can't say enough about him. Another great day. He will not be playing with the threes for very much longer if he continues this because, I mean, Logan Woodside, like I said, 5 for 6 today, and it's been a heavy Logan Woodside chatter in this program. Who would have
Toledo
thought?
legend.
Toledo legend.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the floor for a Clark Phillips, right, is probably as the understudy to Jeff
It's Deion
Okudah
Sanders.
this year.
It's Deion Sanders. The floor to Clark Phillips is prime Deion Sanders.
The floor is the ceiling, as they
Yeah,
say.
the ceiling is
The ceiling is the roof.
yeah.
The,
There you go.
the ceiling is a mixture between Thor and Thanos for Clark Phillips.
Yeah.
But I think that this year, the conservative bet would be hopefully he's the understudy to Jeff Okudah, who plays a good season and is on a 1-year deal, and then you drafted the guy who steps in year 2 in that outside role, and then you've already got the succession plan in place. However, I think the upshot is that you've got somebody who has a lot of experience playing, in decent games against really good competition. He comes into training camp, he looks the part from day one, which so far he really has. Maybe Jeff Okudah stumbles a little bit, although today he looked really good. He had an interception. I thought he's played pretty well, and he becomes your outside starter. That's kind of the thing is they bet on defensive backs, and I'm in love with D. Alford and what he's brought so far. But like players like that, a Cornell Armstrong. There you go.
That one was close. That one was close.
Yeah, if you agree with me, flash some lightning.
The football gods are
So
answering.
it's like a safe bet in the fourth round
Mhm.
where it's a depth piece immediately, and the upshot is that it's a starter maybe next year, but maybe as soon as this year.
No, I mean I agree, and I just love Clark Phillips. I was a big fan of the pick. Fourth round. I think on your show even we talked about it. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I think he's the one.
If his name was Philip Clarks, do you think you would like him as much?
No, I think I like Clark Phillips, but I do like guys with two first names like Ricky Bobby.
There you go.
I mean, I think we have a track record of success with that. If you're ain't first, to
Gina
line-
Thomas.
Matt
Yeah,
Ryan.
Thomas,
Gina
yeah, Matt
Thomas
Ryan.
or Gina Kelly.
Oh, there you go. That's both. It works both
Even
ways.
my
There you go.
remarried name.
Yeah, exactly.
it works.
Perfect.
Matt
Yeah.
Ryan, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, we've had a good track record with that. So maybe
Definitely.
that's the key.
Both names. So.
Yeah.
I mean, Clark Phillips wasn't the only corner standing. Like the cornerbacks, I think they've sort of been dominating a little bit, like throughout the first few days. Like today, I think there were at least 4 or 5 different guys who had a pass breakup at some point. There's Clark Phillips. D. Alford had a pass breakup. He's running with the ones in that nickel battle with Mike Hughes. AJ Terrell had a great pass breakup against Drake London in the end zone. That time it was a really good pass from Desmond Ridder. Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell did exactly what you would want on that play. And I mean, yeah, the secondary, they've been showing out. Jalen Hawkins, he had another really strong day at camp. Like Jalen Hawkins, 3 days, 2 interceptions, had a really good run stop, had another pass breakup. Hawkins has come in motivated.
Yeah. Oh, and I was gonna say there's like 3 guys standing in the parking lot playing cornhole, and like they have not been phased at all by this. weather.
Not at
So
all.
I think
Respect those
that's the
guys.
barometer. Like if they go inside, then we should probably go inside.
Yes.
Let's see if they'll do the halftime show, and
Oh, yeah.
each halftime they'll play in cornhole, and we'll just up the
Yeah,
stakes.
yeah. No,
Up
that's
the
good.
stakes every
That's good.
inside of a ring of
We'll go
fire,
out there. We'll go
Yeah.
stay-
over a pool of piranhas.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
We'll open up
I
the
like
stadium roof during lightning storm. That's
Yeah,
the final
yeah,
level.
There you go.
Yeah. We'll work up to that. We got to start slow here on the first.
Yeah,
If you
and-
ever actual
uh,
live.
Obviously, we're not in a dome like some teams.
Unlike some
Closing the
dome
roof.
Yeah, exactly. We can't just close it. Technically, we are like semi-covered. I will say that, but if it actually starts,
It's like
pouring-
SoFi Stadium in here. Honestly.
It is, yes.
Yeah. All right, I did miss. We had a George Costanza donation of $2. What's up, George? Thanks so much, man.
Thank you, George.
Wish you were here, George.
We've done a live tip jar since we're here doing a live
I
show.
mean, if people want to throw live money at us, you can just like throw it, into the camera feed
At
and just ask your question.
Venmo is my
Cash App, yeah. George says, "Forgive me, but let's not forget that some of those at the table, he's talking about me, and lots of fans of the organization wanted Malik Willis at 8. It sounds like he might not even make the final roster in Tennessee.
I was one of those.
I was a Malik
people.
Willis truther. I was.
Yep.
That's
I didn't
such a
say they should. I said they could.
it's such a great example though of the overhyping draft process
It
that we
is.
go through. Like
The other side of that coin is I think that sometimes rookies get pushed into starting too soon. I was very concerned about that with Ridder, actually, and I think that Ridder did fine in the final 4 games
Yeah,
this season.
yeah.
But I think that may have been a factor for
Oh,
Willis.
yeah. I
And
mean,
now he's got Levis to deal with too. Like,
well, we
thank
always
goodness
call
we're not Titans
players
fans.
busts, but it's like 80% the situation that you end up in.
It is
Right?
It
like
is.
that's the thing is that it's so
And-
hard. It's a nuance that we like don't really take the time
And
to ever
people
talk about.
forget what a factor, not just coaching, but the other 10 guys around you
Yeah.
on the field.
And the quarterback who maybe is in
Yes.
place when you get drafted. Like there's
Exactly.
just so many
A
different
million
things.
variables.
I mean, Tannehill wasn't he on record saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to help him. Like, I'm not helping him take my job."
But even like a coaching staff, are they willing to work with a QB coach? Or are they saying, no, we don't want you to have, we're your coaches. We're going to but QB coaches are way more equipped, or like outside specialized trainers
Yes.
are much more equipped to dive into the actual nuances.
And I think Desmond. Well, first of all, I can't believe those guys are playing cornhole. I just want to say that.
Yeah,
But-
they are unfazed entirely by this.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Shout out to those
Yeah,
guys, too.
but
Get a shot of the corner.
And
I don't know if you
shot of a storm. Let them know.
I don't know if you can
Yeah.
see them. Yeah, they're tossing some corn out there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, get a shot of the ominous story. Yeah, you can't really see it. My white balance is not capturing the.
Yeah,
dark
it
black.
doesn't
But-
look as scary as
Yeah,
it sounds.
it looks much more ominous in person.
We're doing it all in
You're
post.
gonna, we're gonna
Yes.
edit, we'll edit in the lightning and the brimstone later.
Yeah, but I do want to say I think Desmond Ridder he was drafted into the best possible situation he could have been put in. Because you see Arthur Smith and the coaching staff, 1, they love him, and 2, they are all in on him.
Mhm.
Like there was no JUCO legend Taylor Heineke, there was no real competition that was brought in for him this offseason. And I mean, some people can look at that as, positive and negative. It could be like both, but he is QB1 of a team that is really built very well around him. As a third round pick, there are so many quarterbacks that would kill for this situation. But I mean, now it's the time to sort of reward the team for that investment into you by going out there and producing.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. And we all have high expectations for Ridder. I mean, I've been a big fan of Ridder. I was like, oh, are they going to be interested in Ridder in like day 2, the year before he even declared? He decided to go back to school, but like. He isn't like a super high ceiling quarterback, but like you got him in the 3rd round, which I think was a great deal. And like, can he be Ryan Tannehill for you? I mean, like
that's exactly it. Or
that's all they
probably.
need.
Oh, I would love that from a 3rd round quarterback, a Ryan Tannehill type production. Oh my God,
it's like a top 8 quarterback with Arthur Smith. So like,
honestly, like even a Jared Goff or somebody who just in a system that elevates a quarterback. Can you do enough to play within that system that is going to allow you to be elevated?
I think Goff is such a good example because when he was in Los Angeles, it
was night and day.
Like he was gonna, and then once he came to Detroit and they built a scheme that fit his skill set, he was much more successful last year, especially once he got into a rhythm with, the players around him and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that that's one real strength of Arthur Smith because nobody's looking at Ryan Tannehill and saying, oh, this guy is, first ballot Hall of Famer, but he certainly made him a very successful quarterback. And part of that was the pieces around him, which he's already proven that he's very adept at. Like, look at Cordero Patterson's resurgence in Atlanta.
I mean, a lot of coaches do sit there at this time of year and they say, because it's an easy way to deflect, right? It's like, well, we're going to shape everything around the personnel that we had. It's like, well, we don't know what the personnel is going to be yet, and we don't know. So it's like, you don't really talk too much about like scheme, but the one thing that at least Arthur Smith has shown is week to week, player to player, he really figures out specifically like what's going to work, and he'll change his game plan. He'll utilize different players. Like one of my favorite things that he said was yesterday, saying that he felt like Kadarius Hodge was a player that they probably underutilized last year. And that like, if he kind of continues doing what he did last year, they want to get him involved a little bit more. And he looked really good in practice today. So it's kind of like, they're not above uncovering every rock or turning over every rock and figuring out what works. And at the very least, I feel like in a little bit of an about face from maybe the last regime that was in here, like they're going to go down swinging. They're not going to go down sticking to their guns. I think he's not going to be afraid to like get under the hood and figure out what's going wrong and how can I change stuff and change it completely. And like, they're going to try some stuff before it all just crashes and burns.
And like with the previous regime, I think that specifically with the offense, that was not a skill that Dan Quinn had. And I don't think that like bringing back Dirk Cutter solved that problem.
It was a very old school style of offense in an era that was changing very quickly offensively, and they just weren't able to adapt. And then defensively, they stuck to the bread and butter, which I think Dan Quinn, spending that year away from the game, saw the way that the game had changed kind of out from under him really quickly.
Yeah.
And then you've seen the adjustment that they made in Dallas, and it's a lot more versatile. It's a lot,
Dallas. Yeah.
It's just versatility is the name of the game in the NFL.
It is.
And you have a head coach that preaches kind of nothing but versatility.
Well, and I mean, just look at the Bijan pick. Like people planned that pick because of where a running back was selected. But when you look at the versatility of his skill set, it's very obvious why he was a good fit at that position.
Yeah, and I mean, Arthur Smith is in general on offense one of the things that we were really excited about when we did hire Arthur Smith. He was one of the most analytically savvy play callers in the NFL. I think he was, in Tennessee, and I don't know the stats off the top of my head in Atlanta, but he was like in the top 5 in pre-snap motion. He was like, one of the best guys at like, taking the game to where it is today. Whereas with Dirk Cutter, it was just very archaic. It was very, Dirk Cutter was a dinosaur.
I will never forget how mad I was when we were on that, but that's neither here nor there.
We were all hyped for Gary Kubiak. And it was like, oh man, they're going to get Gary Kubiak. It's going to be so sweet. And it's like, oh no, actually they're not giving us permission. So we're hiring Dirk Cutter today.
And then they did nothing after he didn't even go back to Denver.
Yeah, and then he went and signed with Minnesota like a week later. That honestly, like, that's off topic, but like that's when I knew that the regime was over. Like I knew at that point, like that we're done. Like this is not going to work. Like literally panicking about your offensive. You fire Steve Sarkisian, who was fine
In
And got-
hindsight,
and got-
right? But
in
we all
hindsight,
remember in the
we
moment,
we were
people
salty
were.
at the
Well,
time.
I
furious.
remember seeing
It's
the
hard to be the
news.
guy that follows the guy.
It was
I was
the
the guy.
it was the open locker room right after the Super Bowl that we are not going to talk about, and that news broke. And D-Led was like, "Have you ever heard of it?" It was Jordan Schultz who broke the news, but D-Led's like, "Have you heard of this guy?" And I'm like, "No." And we're like, "This does not make any sense. This cannot be true." No, it's true.
In
This
hindsight, though,
came
it
from
like not
us.
a bad hire, and I think Sark has done a good job in Texas. Like I think
agree.
he's a really I got the
Also,
opportunity to talk to him a couple of times, like for
he's-
2 years. He's
He's
so
a
smart.
He's a good dude.
He's a good dude.
He's a good coach. He is somebody who really respects his players and is very thoughtful about putting.
He
them
does
in
the right
positions
things.
to
He's
succeed.
very smart. He's curious. He doesn't have an
Yes.
ego.
No,
Like the journey that he's been through in his life, and I encourage everybody to research it and learn about. But like that has stripped that dude of any ego that he has, and it's a rare thing to see in the NFL.
Another factor with that is that when he first came to Atlanta, that was all anybody wanted to talk about, and the grace with which he
The
handled
pressure
those
he was
questions.
under, and
Yeah.
like the microscope, and to go from college to the NFL, it was
I have a great deal of respect for Steve Sarkisian.
that
And
is.
he was done dirty. Like he was the scapegoat.
He
I mean,
was.
like, and we
He
all
and
know-
Marquand Manuel.
Yeah, and Marquand, and it was like Marquand also, had his share of the.
I love Marquand. He would always get a coffee and stop by my desk and just chat with me for like 5 minutes, and it made me feel so special. So I always like Marquand because
Asked some inappropriate questions at the NFL Combine.
He did, but he
But-
also got called on the carpet for that, and I think that he learned from it.
I
I
think
like
for
Marquand.
sure.
He
Yeah,
had a great personality and was always really.
he's a
friendly.
former player turned coach,
Yes.
and those are
It
very
would
specific
surprise me
guys. But
if it was taking a
Cornhole guys are still there. We're good.
Cornhole guys are still there. We're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
We are under a severe thunderstorm warning. I don't
we
know if
are?
anyone knows that, but
Oh,
yes,
really?
we are. So
is it because the cornhole people are making it rain, or what?
I don't know. There's a lot of corn getting thrown over there. We can't see the details. Like there's like a hedge
But
blocking our view.
the
But,
other thing about Steve Sarkisian that really sort of like his replacement sort of held the team back a little bit was he was a scapegoat. You sacrificed any chance of continuity going into 2018
Yeah.
because, all of a sudden, 3 years, 3 different offensive coordinators between 2016 and 2018. And he was completely like Dan Quinn scapegoated the shit out of those guys after that very
I
unsuccessful.
get it because it's very difficult to lose your job in the NFL, and you don't know if you're going to get another shot. So I understand the business side of that, but yeah, it is unfortunate, and I'm glad that Sark landed it. Texas, I agree with you. I think he's doing an excellent job with that squad.
Speaking of coordinators, though, like, what do you guys think Ryan Nielsen is going to bring to this defense? Totally different, I feel like, philosophy from what Dean Pease had, but like it could work here.
Sacks, please. Pressure
Few
on
sacks,
opposing
maybe?
quarterbacks. I feel like maybe just several sacks as a treat. I mean, I feel like this is it's something that I say every offseason, but can we please disrupt opposing quarterbacks? Please.
No, we can't.
No.
No.
I do like I like. I mean, I hope it's not recency bias. I don't know. But I like the way that the defense is sort of going in like a weird way. I feel like Troy Andersen's like a better fit for Nielsen's defense, and like
That's
And he's going to have to be Demario Davis. And there are
Sure.
very few Demario Davises out there.
if anyone can do it, he's got the athleticism to do anything. I mean, he could play edge. I mean,
He could play Superman in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
upcoming
it's-
James Gunn movie.
you could make a new position for him, or maybe he's the NFL Shohei Ohtani, right? So,
Oh gosh, I hope so.
Yeah. he starts playing quarter. We need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Screw the draft, we got Troy in the wings. I did wonder if they would have like a random like goal line package where they just have Troy just like
They didn't really do much goal line today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of
Yeah.
like when the pads do come on, because
Yeah.
that's kind of when it actually matters.
Exactly.
Like right now, it's just okay.
I
You
would love
have
to
5
see-
yards of space.
because Troy had like 1,500 yards as like a running quarterback and like he had like 20 rushing touchdowns. So, like I would just love to see
Montana legends.
like maybe instead of Felipe Franks, we get some Troy Andersen Wildcat.
I don't think they're necessarily opposed to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Never say never. With
Arthur
the
Smith
creativity.
is about to jump out of that bush and attack us
Yeah.
for even considering
Felipe slander.
for
that we
even
got
considering
on that day.
taking Felipe Franks off the team.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough now. They brought Michael back. So,
I mean, like, hey, remember last training camp, Felipe Franks became a thing. Like the
Yeah.
Felipe Franks story was he was
Like,
really
It was,
good.
but
last
he
year.
was like the definition of practice player.
Yeah.
Well, Will wrote a featured article on Felipe Franks last year.
I guess I did.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
He's
We write a
an
lot of
SEC
articles.
guy. That's right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And he was a 5-star quarterback, back in the day, coming out of high school.
He certainly
That 1 year at
was.
Arkansas, it's not bad.
I mean, physically, he looks like the dude is.
He's
He
rich.
has the athleticism.
Yeah, you get why
He's-
they're intrigued by
He's
him.
got the size, and he does have some receiving skill. I mean, he's got some versatility.
I do get though that like given how crowded the tight, I
Yeah.
wonder if given how crowded the tight end is, this like his last kind of
Yeah.
chance to make an impression and really earn that
I'm sure
spot.
a lot of fans hope so.
Because
I don't know why he gets so much hate. Like he's like literally like the bottom of the roster tight end. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, Felipe Franks wasted a roster spot. This guy's not going to be active like 90% of the time anyway. Like,
No.
there's a lot of consternation.
And there is something to be said for having an emergency quarterback. I mean, we've already talked about
That's fair,
how
but also
yeah.
should we count him as an emergency quarterback at this point?
I mean, it would have to be a real emergency.
I remember
Very
the last preseason game
Yeah.
last year. They put Felipe Franks in there in the fourth quarter, and his passes were so inaccurate they ran the triple option.
The offense was essentially just like ground to a halt. It was jarring.
It was-
frankly, like
I do.
It was fun to watch a triple option, though. I'm not gonna lie. In the NFL, shout out to Paul Johnson and that Georgia Tech regime. Oh
It is
wow,
raining.
it is starting to rain.
It is raining.
Yeah, it is.
Did the cornhole guys leave? I think they
I
left.
think the cornhole guys might have
Oh my
packed
gosh.
it in.
Oh my God! What we outlasted the cornhole guys?
We outlasted the cornhole guys. Well, it's just sprinkling, and I have a makeshift tent here for my
It
computer.
is.
So
there you
we
go.
are at 48 minutes, so we have actually recorded for a respectable amount of time. So there is that. But
Is there anything we missed that
I
we?
did want to talk about Eddie Goldman's retirement, and the Falcons did sign another defensive tackle today.
Justin Ellis.
Pop-
yeah.
Justin Ellis.
Well, it's not an official retirement, but Arthur Smith in the post-practice press conference, when asked about it, did say that Eddie Goldman.
Possibility.
Yeah, he said that Eddie Goldman, he is dealing with some personal things. We hope everything is okay with him. Eddie Goldman is considering he could potentially retire. Arthur Smith said that we would have probably a final decision tomorrow, and they did go out and sign a defensive tackle in the meantime today. So, that probably...
And Eddie Goldman's missed 2 of the last 3 seasons. Like the likelihood, it's clear they like something that he brings to this. It's clear they like what he brings to this team in some capacity, but like he just hadn't been out there, and at this point, you got to question if he ever will be.
Yeah, and I mean, for what it's worth, Arthur Smith did say that Eddie Goldman reached out to the Falcons, and he asked about coming back, and I mean, the team was like, sure, yeah.
And that's a credit to the team, I guess.
We'll bring him back. Yeah, I mean, put him on the 90-man roster. And he said Eddie Goldman came in very good shape. He came looking very good, and I mean, we're not going to speculate on what the personal issues are. All we're going to say is we hope that everything is okay with him and his family, and if he does call it a career, it was a good career, and we wish him the best in the future.
Can you guys also make me feel better about the fact that Calais Campbell is on the NFI list?
Well, Arthur Smith said it would be around 10 days before he had an update.
Okay.
But he said it shouldn't be anything that's too long term. And I mean, Calais Campbell, he is, he's the veteran of veterans. So I think it's okay. Of course you want him out there, but if anyone's going to miss, some of training camp, then Calais Campbell is in that tier of guys where you can sort of miss it. And
I was looking over the quotes, and I mean, Arthur even said like even if he was fully healthy, his ramp up period would be different because he's
older,
veteran who's
yeah.
like going into his 80th season. But it did like seemingly like reading between the lines, and I mean Arthur may have said this kind of even explicitly, but it was like something that he chose, a personal decision to get something worked on this offseason. That it's not going to like impact his ability to play one season. So, but it may like reading between the lines, an off-season surgery, you get a knee scope, you do something to like clean something up as a veteran, and you're going to be good to go. And it sounds like maybe the team was made aware of that. Again, it's the player's decision during the off-season. The team necessarily doesn't have a ton of control over that. And if all parties are on board with the timeline, then they're telling us, sure, could he come out and just say like, yeah, he had a knee scope or whatever, but like, he doesn't have to. And at this point, we're just speculating that would be what it is. So I think the big picture is like it's not a concern for the start of the season.
Some kind of cleanup surgery does make the most sense, and yeah, as long as it's not a long-term thing, because even though he is, getting up there in years, as an older lady myself, like I'm very excited to see him. I've loved watching his career. I'm very excited that he was so eager to sign.
He chose Atlanta. There was a lot of teams that wanted him.
And I think that that's a real testament to Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot.
And it's because of exactly like what we were just talking about with Eddie Goldman and what we're talking about here with Calais Campbell. Last year when Drake London got hurt early in the preseason, Kyle Pitts, like Arthur Smith and this staff time and again has really erred, even maybe overly cautiously, on we're going to get the player right. We're going to do what's best for the player. Jalen Mayfield shut down pretty much all last year with something that at the time that he suffered it in training camp, like right about now, didn't seem like that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And they just kind of shut it down. So like they do what's best, I think, for the player, which may impact some of these free agency decisions and be something that players talk around the league. They know.
And frankly, it makes it easier for me to be a fan. I think that should be the focus.
Right.
And I mean, speaking of injuries, we would be remiss if we did not touch on today's training camp injury. It was Matt Hennessy.
Oh, yeah.
He went down in walkthroughs very, very early on in camp. Walked off under his own power, but did look a little bit gimpy with the trainer back to the locker room early on. Arthur Smith in the press conference said it was something, that came out from last season. I think he had a bit of a knee issue last year, and he did say that he would get an MRI, which is it's never a good sign. It's never a good sign because, when an MRI comes into question, then it's probably going to be a little bit of an extended absence. But we'll get more information about that moving forward. And in the meantime, second-round pick Matthew Bergeron stepped in with the ones, and I mean the offensive line doesn't really look like it missed much of a beat.
No.
But definitely,
it's also not doing great now.
Well, and the other thing is, I think that both lines are really the hardest to evaluate
It is
without
so hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, but the thing is, you do want Matt Hennessy to be healthy, and you do want that competition to happen. And I mean, you want all of these guys to be healthy. I know a lot of people want Bergeron to be the day one starter, but wouldn't you feel better if he's the day one starter beating out Matt Hennessy as opposed to, Hennessy gets hurt
forced
and
into it.
forced into it. Yeah.
The other thing is, like, I would much rather see a coaching staff take the time they need to develop, especially an offensive lineman,
Yes.
especially a rookie, because the speed of the game is so different, and it is just such an adjustment.
Yeah, and Bergeron is a college tackle. I mean, he played like 20 snaps of guard. Like 20 snaps of guard at the Senior Bowl, and they were good.
A lot of fans feel like guards and tackles and even centers are just interchangeable, but the skill set for each position,
They're not.
And the fundamentals for each position are very, very different.
Yeah, well, we asked Keenan Forney about this on a previous show, and he said literally just moving from, let's say, right guard to left guard. So you're not even like changing away from the guard position.
But that's in some ways a much harder transition than just like a tackle to guard.
He said he says that making that transition takes minimum 3 to 4 months. To just get into that rhythm, to just get into what you need to start practicing in that. It takes like a full off season essentially.
The other factor, especially with rookies, is that the offensive line can only succeed if they have, pretty cohesive chemistry across all 5 guys. And that takes a great deal of time to build. And so that's always a concern with injuries on the offensive line.
However, if a guy goes from right tackle to left guard, he goes down by 1 Madden rating, and it's okay. Just plug him away and let's
That's
roll.
how it works. That's how it works.
But that is like, I do wonder the sliding in on the same side from tackle to guard is an easier transition, right, than going from a right tackle to a left tackle.
That's
Left
very,
tackle.
very true.
Because that's just like go outside and try to throw a baseball with your opposite hand. It's like that's the equivalent. It's totally the opposite side
That's
of your body.
a very, very fair point.
But I also think, and this is something that Thomas would talk a lot about, and like with Matt Gono and some of the young, but like he was a big fan of that redshirt year for offensive linemen because of the way the college game has changed. Because there's just not the ability to invest and develop an offensive lineman in the 4 years, and if the best ones in like the 3 years that like you got them. And so kind of the offensive lineman coming to the NFL not really ready for that pro style scheme So you need that redshirt year. But I think that somebody like Matthew Bergeron coming from Syracuse, like obviously Arthur Smith is very familiar, comfortable with the scheme that
Yeah.
like he's in. So I think that's a little bit of a better fit for if
It
he has to
is.
play right away. But that's another element too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you guys covered it. Like, I'm a big Bergeron fan. Go Orange, go Orange.
I'm a burgeoning
But,
Bergeron
yeah.
fan, but
No, Arthur Smith anticipated that I was going to ask about Bergeron. So shout out to Arthur Smith for remembering I was from Syracuse. This man has met me like maybe a handful of times.
He keeps tabs. He
He
keeps
does.
tabs.
He
Yeah.
does. So
I think he's scouting you.
he is. I mean, he
Yes.
scouts everything,
Yeah.
right?
He saw you run to go get that film.
He
today.
did. Yeah, they
Clock
were like,
you. We
okay,
need another slot receiver.
Yeah, we need someone to get out there for drills. Let's
So-
go.
How many jet motions can you run?
Yeah,
Someone
probably
had
like 3.
someone had the hand timer. Someone had the
Yeah,
hand
they're
timer
like,
for
oh.
sure.
If it's high school, I can still run a 4.7. So,
Yeah,
hey,
and I mean we were talking about it
that's
before the show.
linebacker speed.
We were talking about it before the show. Arthur Smith seems a lot more loose this year than
He
you know
does.
he
Yeah.
did possibly at the start. Like you can see, like he's in there joking with the media. Like he handed Dillette a fine today for missing the first 2 days of training camp. He fined him $500.
Yep.
And I mean, like he had his son today in the press conference. It was very wholesome, very adorable. And I mean, he seems to be very loose and very like just happier. Like
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just he's a lot more confident in the roster. Maybe he's it's a little bit less stressed with the cap constraints. But
If I had
mean-
Bijan, Algier, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, I would be very loose and very comfortable too. I would be feeling great going into the season.
Much better than in years past.
Yes.
I'm sure, like everyone, when they were, in the dark hours of the night, they were like, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure how this is gonna go. What they say, like the expectations of Super Bowl, like yes, of course,
Yeah.
but
Every single
Well,
year.
but from also a coaching staff, like you can look at it as the coaching staff has been getting 2 dry runs for like an all-in year because like
Yes.
and no coaching staff is ever going to really take unless I guess you're part of Urban Meyer's coaching staff
Right,
is going to
yeah.
like take any weeks off or anything like that. But
I
yeah,
think
that
Urban was the only one who actually took weeks off.
There
there you
But
go.
yeah.
I'm fascinated by that, and it's something that Arthur has talked about is like the continuity on the coaching staff and just that shorthand and like, hey,
That's
we
also
tried
huge.
this, that didn't work, and so now when it actually does matter and we've got the team behind us
Mhm.
to really capitalize and make it count, we as coaches have been through the ringer a little bit
And-
already, and we've got these test.
And AJ Terrell mentioned that in the press conference too. He talked about the continuity of having Arthur Smith going into year 3 of some of these coaches still being there. Like sure, Ryan Nielsen is there. He's
yeah, new coordinator,
Yeah,
but,
new
like,
coordinator, but still like
Jerry Gray as well.
yeah, you know what to expect at this point from Arthur Smith running the show going into year 3, and he said that that makes the players feel a bit more comfortable, and it's just he talked about just the culture that's being built now,
Mhm.
and I mean you need continuity for a culture.
no, absolutely.
And there's also continuity now with the players. Like you're looking at
Yes.
Richie Grant, Jalen Hawkins, and AJ Terrell. They've been together for a little bit. Like you Taquan Graham and Grady Jarrett. They've now third season going in together. Like
Yeah.
you're starting to see positions, not just coaches, but like as you move along in any regime. And now you're in year 3. It's not the tear down; it's the build up.
4 of
Yeah.
the 5 linemen are going to be the exact same
Yeah.
as starters going into next year.
No,
And yeah, just giving the coaching staff enough time. That's one of the things that I think is a challenge in the NFL is that it is the not for long league. And so giving a coaching staff enough time to build that continuity and to create a situation where there's a strong culture,
Yeah.
it makes me more optimistic about this.
And I think we need to give Arthur Blank a lot of credit with that as well, because
Mhm.
he saw what happened toward the end of the regime last year, and he knew that this team had a lot of cap constraints going
Yeah.
into the new regime. So he went out there and he said, "Look, we're going to build this the way it should be built from the ground up. We're not going to take these shortcuts." He brought Fontenot and Arthur Smith in there. I think he gave them each a 5-year deal, and he told them, I'm pretty sure he told them like, you can take your time and you can do what needs to be done. He didn't go out here immediately saying, all right, year 1, I'm expecting a playoff run. And then, there's pressure on the front office to start restructuring some of these contracts the way the Saints have been doing, opening up cap space and just trying to get that quick fix. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why the Falcons are in such a really good cap situation now, And that's one of the reasons why the Falcons have been able to build a roster that everyone has lauded throughout the entire offseason, because Arthur Blank came in here with that patience and knowing that, hey, it's the NFL and, it may take a little bit of time. And, a lot of these billionaire owners in the NFL, they have these egos where, they expect everything right away and they're used to everything, getting everything right away.
They have a lot more money than patience.
They do have a lot more money. And I think it's a testament that Arthur Blank sort of, set that ego aside a little bit and said, you know what, maybe we won't be great right away, but we're going to build this the way it needs to be built. And that's what leads to sustained success in the NFL.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And
Yeah.
I'm just hoping we see some good stuff this year. I know you guys are too. I think the depth is better, and I think we'll hopefully, fingers crossed, man, as he doesn't miss significant time. But
Yeah.
you have Matthew Bergeron in the wings. You drafted a guy literally for this reason, so you have an option.
Traded up for him.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think that they've done an excellent job with this offseason is just stocking up quality depth. I think that that's been a real challenge for this team when they were up against the cap. And I think that they've taken advantage of the fact that they've kind of resolved those cap woes. And there's a lot more quality depth, or at least improved depth.
Yeah.
At
Yeah, I mean,
many
if you
spots
gotta
on the roster.
whip up a meal real quick for the next opponent, you've got something in the pantry.
Exactly.
Like you've got
Yes.
more ingredients to work with.
Yeah.
It's not just Grady Jarrett and, guys off the street.
Yes.
Arthur Smith's not calling up Kevin and Adnan suit up guys.
Hey guys, get out there. Let's go.
Never played a snap in the NFL, but let's go.
Hey, you guys want to critique the players? Get out there.
Yep.
Yeah, see how it is.
We're
See how
we're
it
just couch prognosticators, sideline warriors.
Well, we're just blog boys.
Internet GMs.
We're just
Yeah,
blog boys.
Internet GMs. Yeah, guys. Well, it is continuing to rain, and I think the fans are getting a little bit restless. So we are over an hour, which is our allotted time. So we will go ahead and wrap up. But thank you guys so much.
Plot twist: this wasn't recording at all, and we just talked for an hour
Yeah.
for no reason.
See, everyone in the chat was just conversing, oh, I wonder when they're gonna go. When they're gonna go live. Yeah. But guys, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks to everyone for showing up.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you guys.
You can't see, there's thousands.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
so many.
thousands.
My friends are here. They're just right out of frame.
There are dozens of us.
Yep. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline and Blue Chew. You'll get your ad read. I'll have to edit it in later in post. We'll do that in post.
I like how you rubbed your hair when you said that.
That and a scary looking storm. Just get excited,
Yeah,
folks.
it's very exciting. Very stimulating, perhaps you could say.
The Falcons are about to bring a storm to the rest of the NFL this
Yeah,
year.
there's a storm raging. Yes.
Right now is just the calm.
Yeah. But this is all. This time it's free Blue Chew, but going forward, you need that sort of embellishment. Call me. But guys, we really do appreciate everyone for hanging out with us today. Please do subscribe if you enjoyed the episode. Leave that 5-star review on your podcast platforms of choice. And yeah, we'll be back at Flowery Branch bright and early on Saturday. Maybe the clouds will stick around. Probably not. Because we're made to suffer in this training camp world. But,
It'll be scorching hot tomorrow and 100 degrees with
yeah.
no clouds.
Yes, it will, baby.
Without question. But before we take off, Gina Kelly at Gina Thomas. Anything you would like to let people know about Gina?
Yeah, I would like to let the people know about your exceptional training camp coverage, all three of you. You've kept me informed. I greatly appreciate you guys putting in the time up there, sweating it out, and bringing us all of the information that we need.
Yeah.
So
Our
also,
pleasure.
go to the Falcoholic tomorrow. I'm going to put up a gallery of photos from this event.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yes. So definitely check that out, guys, if you weren't able to make it. We also have with us, of course, Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way. Adnan, anything you'd like to let the people know about?
Yeah, I would like to plug our training camp news and notes that you and I wrote today. I think that just published, about an hour ago, a couple hours ago, whenever Dave got
Shout out
to
to
it.
Dave Cho.
Yeah. Shout out to Dave. He couldn't be here, but he is the man.
Northern Dave.
Yeah, he is the man running everything, and he is the man who told us that we have to be out here even if it storms, rain or shine.
No, Dave was like, "They're filming that podcast. I don't care."
Yeah,
He loves to crack the whip.
Yeah, he
that
does.
what you guys don't see, is our legs are tied to these chairs right now.
We couldn't leave
can't,
if we wanted to.
Yeah, the cornhole guys were just they were just a diversion.
That was just a bit. Yeah, that was just a bit.
But so you and Kevin and I write up our news and notes every single day of training camp. If you didn't see yesterday's, check those out. We're going live every single day, and check out our Twitter accounts for live minute-by-minute coverage in the mornings. Maybe while you're drinking a coffee. Tomorrow's Saturday, and even if you're working, we we don't condone an unproductive workplace. So do with that what you will. But
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. whatever you guys want to do, we don't judge on this pod.
Yeah.
Okay, it's really okay.
What we would love it if you read our Twitter accounts instead of working during the workday, during the weekdays. So
Let's see how many times these guys go viral tonight.
Yes, let's see. I think today it was, we got the one today. That Clark Phillips video yesterday hit over 1 million. That was my first million.
Nice.
There you go.
That's amazing.
I think my Matt Collins quote got a few views.
It was
got a
over
couple.
500,000
Oh, yeah.
views the last time.
Legendary.
That was hours ago.
Shout out to Matt Collins, who does not eat with utensils. He says to eat with your hands. So.
Definitely read that quote.
Number one finger food guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy him some hand sanitizer because it stresses me. Like as a mom, it stresses me.
Not a big soup guy though.
Yeah, not a big soup guy.
Not a big shoe guy either. He walked into the facility barefoot on Tuesday on that very hot Georgia asphalt.
Yeah.
When it was like
great.
90.
He's got feet of steel, like literally, if he's doing that. So, also with us, Will McFadden, Will McFadden, host of the Fellow Believe program, not Locked on Falcons. Believe in Falcons.
There you go.
Shout out Aaron Freeman, by the way. Where are you, Aaron? Why aren't you here? What are you doing? Will, what you working on? What you want to let people know about?
Believe in Falcons. Will McFadden got a story on Matt Collins coming up tomorrow morning, probably on the Falcons. So check that out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for viewing. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. We will see you bright and early tomorrow at Flowery Branch. Until then, guys, have a great night, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.